If you're a creative person, you're probably familiar with the feeling of having your passion, the thing that you love, the thing that you most want to do with your time, living on the back burner. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about why it's so important to put your creative pursuits in the front of your life and make space for them. This is Space Not Taken, and I'm Kelsey Toney. Hey everybody, it is officially November. I'm super excited for this week's episode because we're going to be talking a little bit about making space in our lives for our creative endeavors. You might know that this is National Novel Writing Month, lovingly known as NaNoWriMo, and you're going to be seeing a whole lot of NaNoWriMo tips in your feeds for the next couple of weeks. But I'm here with a slightly different approach. I'm here for those of you who didn't start on day one. You find yourself on November 7th or 8th or 12th, and you're feeling like you shouldn't bother starting. I'm here with the other side of that coin, the opposite point of view, and I'm here to tell you that you can still do it. You can still pull this off. I believe in you. We are approaching the end of this year. We're coming to the conclusion of the things that we set out to do in 2023. And I don't know about you, but I like making goals and I like reflecting on where I've been and what I've accomplished and what I still want to accomplish in my life, in my future. So getting to November is a really big milestone for me in the year. It's the beginning of the holiday season, my favorite time of year. I am one of those people that believes that we have Christmas part 1, Thanksgiving Day, and then Christmas part 2. So I am fully in my Jingle Bells era for the rest of the year. I've got 2 months of Christmas joy in my heart, and I'm going to love every single second of it. November is National Novel Writing Month, and the first few letters of those words spell out NaNoWriMo, a time of year when writers all over the planet decide that this is the month that they are going to start and finish drafting a brand new novel. It comes out to around 1,700 words every single day, and at the end of it, you've got 50,000 words of a project. I think one of the reasons that NaNoWriMo is so very cool is because truly the entire world is doing this with you. They have a really great online community where you can connect to other writers and commiserate and do writing sprints live, like at the same time with them, no matter where they are on the planet. A lot of local libraries and schools have write-ins where you go and you bring your laptop and you shut yourself in and you all get together and write for hours on end. It's a great way to make connections and find people who are at the same stage of the process as you. They're at the beginning of drafting a new project. If you've been here before, then you know that I'm a writer, and you may also know that I have a novel coming out, hopefully summer 25, and Penguin Random House purchased it in March, and I get to brag about that and be excited about that. That's, life goal level news. And that book started out as a nano project. I wrote the first 50,000 words of that project during the month of November. I guess it was probably 2018. If you've finished nano before, if you're still in the beginning stages of your career and you're still trying to establish yourself and you're still trying to get that big break, just know that it's kind of like deciding that you want to be struck by lightning. There's only so much that you can control. At the end of the day, there's a lot of luck that comes into publishing, which we all know. But today's episode really isn't even for those of you who have already started nano or who already know that they're going to tackle nano. Yes, this episode is coming out on the 1st of November, but you might be listening to it on the 7th or the 8th or the 12th, and you may feel like nano has passed you by. Or maybe you are listening to it at the very beginning of the month, but you're still not sure if you're ready to commit to this goal. And so you're kind of standing on the precipice of this creative endeavor, and maybe you're having a hard time telling yourself that you can pull this off. So today's episode is going to be a little bit of a pep talk because I've been where you are. And I just want to say that I understand. It is really hard to make that time and make that space for yourself, especially for something that feels as frivolous as creative pursuits sometimes feel. There are so many of us that are balancing so much in any given day or week, and almost all those things that we do when we're in that juggling act phase of life benefit other people. They benefit our children or our partners or our communities or our employers. And they sometimes take the front seat away from ourselves and away from our creative stuff, because our creative stuff is just for us. And all the other stuff we're doing benefits everyone else. If you struggle with taking up space in your life, it can be really challenging to decide that you're willing to do something that is just for you. And at the end of the day, creativity is all about making space for yourself. It would be wonderful for other people to see and recognize our work and want to be a part of it, but we don't get to decide that. Even people who are successful are dependent upon their audience continuing to come back for more. And it can be daunting to step out for the first time and say, this thing that only serves me, that is only for my heart, that is only for my soul, is worth doing. It can be really tricky to decide that this thing that's only for you is worthy of a chunk of the precious little time that we have on this planet. I've done writing both ways. Way early in the morning, like 5 o'clock, 5 a.m. Writers Club used to be a thing. And I've also done working late at night. And I think that either of those options is a valid way to sort of think of this in your life. You can fit in writing by sacrificing a little bit more of your own sleep and still doing all the rest of the stuff that you're otherwise doing for your family, and just plugging in writing at the beginning or end of that. But I want to extend just a little bit of a challenge that maybe if you're trying to wedge your creative pursuits into the corners of your life, maybe you're not giving them the space that they deserve, the space that you deserve. I know that there are a lot of videos that are meant to be encouragement for Nano or for whatever creative thing it is that you might want to do right now. And I know that there are lots of other people who have made lists of advice on how to find 30 minutes here, how to find an hour here, how to ask your partner to help out more around the house, or how to get your neighbor to make an extra casserole and drop it off at your door once a week. And yeah, those are great options if they're great options for you. But I really think the thing that's on my heart to say today is that your pursuit of your passion, your pursuit of the thing that maybe doesn't pay the bills, but that fills your bucket, that makes your soul happy, it might be worth a sacrifice. It might be worth you giving up good family time. It might be worth you missing out on an event that you would otherwise never want to miss. Nobody is suggesting that you neglect your kid, but that doesn't mean that every single thing that your family does has to be more important than the thing that you need to do to be happy. Finding a balance between everyone else's needs and your own is really tricky because it requires you to admit that you deserve space in your life. If you haven't taken the leap to start working on a book or record that song that you wrote, I would challenge you to ask yourself why. Because I feel like the question why in this case is way more important than tips about chipping away 10 minutes of your time in order to put in a couple hundred words. Why have you convinced yourself that you deserve the scraps? Why have you decided that everyone else gets to be served time and attention and focus before you get your portion? Why have you allowed yourself to believe the idea that to give to everyone else is selflessness and to give to yourself is selfishness? That is such a reductive point of view, and typically it's disingenuous and overly simplistic and not useful. We've talked before about how the way that we speak to our friends should be more of the way that we speak to ourselves. And we have to be willing to say to ourselves the things that we would say to other people that we love. And I don't know many of my friends who wouldn't look to another friend and say, hey, you need to take time for yourself. Hey, you need to take care of yourself. Hey, what you want, what you need matters. This other person isn't the only person in the room. This other part of your life doesn't deserve 80% while you deserve 20. So I would challenge you to reflect and ask yourself, why have you decided that you deserve the leftovers? What has happened that has made you believe that's true? Is it a pattern of behavior of the people around you? Is it lower self-esteem? Is it fear? I know that for me, it was often fear. I know that I was afraid of failure in so many ways in my life, and it meant that I wasn't willing to try the thing and give my best because I didn't want to try my best and still fail. One of the things that's been happening in discourse online in the last couple of months, and probably even in the last couple of years, is the question of like, how in the world did you stay in that toxic relationship for so long? Or how in the world did you let your self-esteem fall so low? How did you not know that you could just achieve your goals? How did you not know that you could just like take the time for yourself or put yourself first? And I would just encourage you again to like not be so hard on yourself. It is a tough world out there, and we've lived with a lot of baggage for a long time. A lot of people telling us that the only way to be a good person is to be a selfless person, and the only way to be a good person is to put everyone else first. So there is a chance that 50,000 words in November is not attainable for you for a number of reasons. But that does not mean that you can't set a different bar and hold yourself accountable to that standard for the first time ever in your life. Just because it's scary and just because it's asking a lot does not mean that it's asking too much. So what we're not going to do is set our needs on the side and let our creative pursuits decay and die on the vine. You have a story that deserves to be told. You have a point of view and a perspective, your experiences, the things that you have endured and survived, the way that you look at the world is something that's worthy to be shared. And it doesn't mean that every single story that you write needs to be told at the expense of other people telling a similar story. But you have the right to express your thoughts and opinions and your point of view and share the stories and ideas that excite you and make you happy. And it's a really special thing that we as people get to connect to others by making wonderful things. So if you're intimidated by the idea of participating in Nano or making something special, I really hope that you will push through that fear and rip the Band-Aid. And even if you're only committing to 100 words a day instead of 2,000 words a day, do it consistently, do it intentionally, do it boldly. Hold up your hand and tell the people that are petitioning for extra time, no, I'm not available to do that for you right now because I'm doing this thing for me. It's empowering, and the people who love you want you to take that space. I'll say that again. The people who truly love you want you to take up that space. It's very difficult for me to be loud about the things that I have to offer the world, but that is the mission. That is the thing that I know I deserve more of in my life. I deserve to trust that the people who truly love me, the people who are truly on my side, will not be mad that I am living a full and expanded version of myself. They will not resent me for taking up space. And the same is true for you. The people who love you, the people who are on your side, who want you to be happy and fulfilled, they will not begrudge you or resent you for taking up space to do something that will make you so, so happy. I know that it's scary, but I believe in you. I am trying to grow my listenership, and that means that I'm going to ask you a very specific request. If you have a friend in your life that you know puts themselves on the back burner sometimes, would you consider sharing the link to this show, sending them a text and say, hey, I think this podcast would be really good for you. I think it would help you really think about your life in a different way. And it would mean so much to me, as I'm really hoping that this podcast can continue to grow and become something truly valuable, not only for me, but for other people. So thank you for sharing it with others. Also leaving a rating or a review wherever you're listening to podcasts. Those ratings and reviews really make a big difference in visibility and discoverability, which is super critical. Thank you again so much for listening, and I will be back soon with another episode of Space Not Taken. Space Not Taken is the project of me, Kelsey Toney, and all of the opinions that I mention in the show are mine and mine alone. The opening and closing music is a track called The Weekend by Less FM. You can find me online everywhere at Kelsey B. Toney.